Part 84. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 832. As soon as the piano played, the terrifying murderous calamity that enveloped the entire sound desert disappeared directly. The sea of blood in the sky and the endless stone mountains seemed as if they had never appeared before. What kind of piano is this? Qing Cheng looked at Nanfan in disbelief. The few hairs she pulled were all broken instantly. She can no longer play. Her eyes were filled with horror. That piano was too terrifying. It's obviously just a piano, but it seems to be above all the worlds, and any trace of power it exudes can destroy everything. Even, as the most powerful person in the music, she couldn't even feel the slightest resistance at this moment. She couldn't help herself. She just wanted to kneel down, she just wanted to surrender. The character of that piano is shocking. But the south wind did not stop. Plum blossoms make people cry. The two of clubs breaks a person's intestines. The soul of the three plum blossoms is dead. The song is over. Qing Cheng, who heard this sound, was instantly stunned. She stared at Nanfan blankly, as if she was already stupid. God takes it for you. The three plum blossoms have the soul-stealing effect. With Nanfan's level, it is of course impossible to seize the soul of a peerless master like Qing Cheng, but with the piano forged by Li Fan himself, it directly shocked King Cheng's soul. Sister Nanfan, her? Zi Ling asked with some confusion. Nanfan said. Well, a psycho. Mental illness. Hearing this, Zi Ling understood everything instantly. Oh, it turns out to be mental illness. She said towards Qing Cheng. Mental illness, we'll take you to a lunatic asylum, do you want to go? At this moment, Qing Cheng stood up in despair, just like a puppet, just following the south wind. Let's go. When Nanfang spoke, she turned around. Qing Cheng is like a puppet, following every step. They walked out of Xuanhuan Mountain. Big Black Dog, Zhang Li, and others rushed over quickly. Senior sister, are you okay? They asked questions. Nanfan said. Fine. The evil corpse has awakened and is heading to Tianyuan. The mentally ill person has also been found. We can go back. Zhang Li and others looked at Qing Cheng curiously. Why is it so ugly? Its face is covered with giant centipedes. Wu Dade couldn't help but speak, his eyes filled with disgust. Nanfan briefly talked about King Cheng's life experience. After hearing this, Wu Dade's expression suddenly changed, and his eyes looking at Qing Cheng were full of fear. This is definitely a madman and a ruthless person. Be ruthless to your enemies and even more ruthless to yourself. Master! Master! But at this moment, Qiu Qing and Xuanhuan hurried forward and looked at Qing Cheng anxiously. The two of them were King Cheng's disciples in Yinhuang. The life experiences of the two of them were more or less similar to King Cheng's, so they were favored by Qing Cheng and given the right path by Qing Cheng. Your master is mentally ill, you two are not much better, just let us treat him. Wu Dade spoke directly. These two women have experienced the same ups and downs, but they are also crazy. Killing like hemp. It won't work without treatment. Hearing this, both of them became angry, looked at Wu Dade and said. You are brave. They were about to take action towards Wu Dade. However, just as the sound of the harp moved, a big black claw had already struck over. The two of them were knocked unconscious. The big black dog has claws out. Wu Dade immediately tied Qiu Qing and Xuanhuan with ropes and dragged them away. Quickly, activate the blood curse formation now. At this moment, in the wilderness below, Ning Qiuzi looked at Elder Xuanhuan who was visiting the confinement, and shouted hurriedly. What exactly happened on Xuanhuan Mountain, they didn't know. When Elder Xuanhuan heard this, he stood up with difficulty, spit out a mouthful of blood, and said. blood-cursed Xuanhuan, refining a world. He is summoning the formation flag. But I found that there was no response. What happened? Could it be that the formation flag was destroyed by others? This is impossible. Something's wrong, leave quickly, retreat. Sensing something was wrong, Elder Xuanhuan immediately ran away. However, in the sky, the big black dog's paws have fallen. In an instant, Elder Xuanhuan, Ningqiuzi and others all shouted in terror, and then exploded to death. Xiao Xiao has finished cleaning up, let's go. Nanfan and others left the place immediately. Just left the sound desert. Ah! No. In the void of the universe, there were sounds of struggling and roaring. The big black dog sniffed and immediately noticed something. It said, "Wait for me here." Then he headed directly towards the direction of the sound. Now. Chaos Sunbo, save me. An old man was wailing and struggling in the void. His eyes were filled with grey fog, sometimes clear, somewhere between sanity and madness. This person is clearly Wu Jianghe. He originally wanted to come to Yinhuang to look for opportunities. As a result, before he entered the sound desert, the aura erupting from the sound desert had already made his breath unbalanced, and he was about to fall into madness. "Help me!" He shouted loudly, his whole body filled with pain. The grey fog filled the air, and his whole body was about to sink in. However, right now, suddenly his eyes flashed. There seemed to be a big black dog running out from in front of me. Then, he suddenly felt an indescribable pain. It seems like something bitten off. Ah! At this moment, the clear feeling of pain instantly pulled Wu Jianghe back from his madness. The source of the restless grey mist was actually suppressed. "You, who are you?" Wu Jianghe looked at the big black dog in horror. At this moment, his legs were trembling. Because, that dog actually took his balls. No one was bitten. What kind of dog is this? It's so wicked. He's attacking me while he's going crazy. However, the big black dog said coldly, "You and that old guy who defeated this emperor's Dao fruit are together. I haven't met that old guy for a long time. I'll bite you first and collect some interest. Wow, don't let me see you again, otherwise I will bite you every time I see you." After saying that, its figure disappeared directly from the place. Just bite and run away. Seeing this, Wu Jianghe went crazy. Damn, what the hell is this dog? Who would be so blind as to provoke such a dog and end up blocking his disaster? Could it be Ji Wuden or Chang Sun Immortal? Wu Jianghe said a little angrily. "You bitch, remember the revenge of biting the egg." After saying that, he suddenly said, "Why do you feel that after losing the egg, the origin of the grey mist is not so restless?" Now, the distant blood wasteland. An old man with a strange aura was guarding outside a cave. Ah, sneeze. Suddenly, the old man sneezed and glanced between his legs for no apparent reason. Okay, the egg is still there. A flash of anger suddenly emerged in his heart. Damn it, he was bitten by that dog. You actually feel palpitations for no reason. That dog is trying to become his own inner demon. He said bitterly. "You bitch, sooner or later I will eat dog meat." After saying that, he couldn't help but look into the cave. Miss Snow is already at the most important juncture. I hope she can successfully break through. He murmured and continued to protect the people in the cave. At the same time, another place in the void. It's so dangerous. Song Ji-yuan patted his chest, looked at Ao Wushuan next to him, couldn't help but give a thumbs up, and said, "Brother Ao, you are really smart. If it weren't for you, Lao Song's life would have been lost in Yinhuang." Ao Wushuan also had lingering fears. My lord, please let me go back later, right? The bones of the Forbidden Lord still need to find the evil spirit. His eyes were full of urgency. Although he was really scared of the people in the small mountain village over there. However, in order to upgrade, he decided to fight. Anyway, the people in the small mountain village will leave this sound wasteland sooner or later. Hearing this, Xuanhuan was even more impressed and said, "Brother Ao, you are so loyal and courageous. You actually want to re-enter the tiger's den. I have to help you. Here, take it, I've given you the bones of the Forbidden Lord, I believe you can do it. By the way, when you go back, remember to find someone from the Ning family who brought a white jade bottle, and bring that bottle back." Hearing this, Ao Xuanhuan nodded and said, "Don't worry, I'll keep it with you." Immediately, he took the jade box containing the bones of the Forbidden Lord and turned towards Xuanhuan. "It was so cold that my hands were frozen and I stopped writing. Good night." Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 833. Soon, Ao Xuanhuan returned to Yinhuang and appeared in front of Xuanhuan Mountain. At this moment, everyone at the foot of Xuanhuan Mountain is still in shock. Oh my god, what are the origins of those people? They're just dogs, and they killed 8 masters with just a raise of their claws. Not only the 8-level masters from the true ancestor realm, but also several ancient chaos immortals from Xuanhuan Mountain were taken away by them. Chuqing and Suhan were even tied up and dragged away by the fat man. It was so miserable. Come on. Chaos ancient immortal, has he been subdued? Many people murmured. To Yinhuang, the ancient chaotic immortal on Xuanhuan Mountain was a heaven-like existence. Because she doesn't like the human world, there are only a few people in the land for thousands of miles. However, now the other party is actually suspected and taken away by those people. Incredible. The aura on Xuanhuan Mountain has completely disappeared. Shall we go up and take a look? Yes, let's go and see, maybe there is another opportunity. Walk. Many practitioners are eager to try it. Xuanhuan Mountain is the residence of the ancient Chaos Immortal. It is extremely extraordinary. The ancient Chaos Immortal has left, but there are probably still many great opportunities left in the place where she lives. Immediately, many people swarmed up and headed towards Xuanhuan Mountain. "Sir, hurry up, there must be an extraordinary treasure on this snow mountain." Even Yang Changxian was shouting hurriedly at this moment. Yang Tian rushed forward with him. Ao Xuanhuan looked at this scene, but shook his head and said, "Too young. What good things can be left in the place where the small mountain village passes? Lao Ao, won't go." After speaking, he first walked towards the bodies of Elder Xuanhuan, Ning Quzi, and others. After all, we still have to find the bottle containing the so-called fog of chaos. He rummaged around and finally found the jade bottle on Ning Yanran's body. Inside the box, there is a layer of strange fog, which is gray and white and seems to be impenetrable. Is this the mist that requires blood to be baptized? Ao Xuanhuan thought and picked up the jade bottle. The moment he took the jade bottle into his hands, he actually felt that the jade bottle seemed to be shaking. The weird mist of chaos actually turned into a human form at this moment, kowtowing to Ao Xuanhuan in the jade bottle. Ao Xuanhuan was immediately confused. This chaotic fog has become a monster? This is not a good thing, it takes so many people's blood to cleanse it, damn it. He couldn't help but murmured. The words fell. The chaotic mist in the jade bottle seemed to be stunned for a moment, and then suddenly slowly dissipated. Chaos mist refined itself. Disappeared. Ao Xuanhuan looked at the scene and was even more confused. This thing is really evil. Forget it, just enjoy your own opportunity first. He immediately opened the jade box containing the bones of the Forbidden Lord. Then hold that bone in your hand. In an instant, a certain aura surged into his dantian from the Forbidden Lord's bones. The first floor of that small black 9-story tower was partially deified at this moment, with all the rust and copper spots disappearing, making it look like it was shining with divine light, which was very extraordinary. At the same time, some kind of chi flowed back into the Forbidden Lord's bones, and the Forbidden Lord's bones, which were full of cracks, instantly became vibrant and covered with bloodshot eyes. Xuanhuan's cultivation also skyrocketed instantly. From the Linghong realm, directly enter the fourth refinement realm. His limbs were quickly transformed into gods, and more than that, his breath moved towards the 5 aggregates, and the original energy in the 5 internal organs was tapped out. Then, the original energy of the 5 internal organs poured directly into his legs. Xuanhuan had an inexplicable feeling in his heart. An idea came to his mind. Suddenly, the source of energy from the 5 internal organs formed 2 terrifying wheels under his feet. Xuanhuan was immediately shocked. In ancient legends, there was a terrifying magical power called Hot Wheels. Could it be that he had discovered a similar magical power now? He suddenly became energetic. His figure disappeared directly from the place and appeared in another place in the Sound Wasteland. In just an instant, Xuanhuan traveled 500,000 miles. Is this my old Ao's original magical power? Xuanhuan looked at the 2 wheels under his feet, his eyes shining. With such magical powers, why should we be afraid of small mountain villages in the future? If you can't afford to offend him, you can afford to hide yourself. These 2 wheels, well, they are called Chasing the Stars and Chasing the Moon Unparalleled Wheels. He gave his magical power a very cool name. At the same time, he also expects to be powerful. He has already evolved such magical powers in the 5 aggregates realm. What kind of magical skills will he obtain in the Liuzang realm? No, I have to continue to persevere and let the old man, the Forbidden Lord of the Forbidden Visitor Organization, recover as soon as possible. As he spoke, he couldn't help but throw the Forbidden Lord's skeleton in front of him and said, "Want to sing a song?" He wanted to confirm whether the Forbidden Lord's bone this time was under his control as before. Then, I saw that section of bare bone, shaking and twisting the bones, making a clicking sound. Seeing this, Xuanhuan hurriedly said, "Forget it." He was afraid that if he sang a song to break this bone, it would be over. He couldn't hide it, he couldn't explain it to the inquisitors. Xuanhuan immediately stepped on the star-chasing Moon Wushuan wheel and disappeared from the spot. And at this moment, Xuanhuan Mountain. Countless people climbed up the snow-capped mountains. Rare treasure medicine, snow lotus. Someone discovered that there were clearly many snow lotuses growing on top of a peak. These snow lotuses are of the highest quality, and their medicinal properties may be no less than 6 or 7 stars. Rush. Everyone rushed towards Tianshan's snow lotus. But suddenly, the entire Xuanhuan mountain collapsed. Boom. Avalanche, landslide. No. Help. We don't want to die. The world howls. Almost everyone was drowned. Master. Yang Xuanhuan's eyes turned red and he wanted to save him. However, the landslide in Xuanhuan mountain was too violent. Moreover, the evil corpse of Yinzun was once buried, and it was also the place where the most powerful Yin Dao lived. The mountain already contained some extraordinary aura, causing him to be dignified. A generation of masters could not resist and were directly knocked away by a huge snow peak. In the blink of an eye, Xuanhuan mountain collapsed. Hundreds of thousands of people were buried under the mountain. Master, Master. Yang Chengxian seemed to be crazy. He dug into the mountain desperately. 3 days later, his hands were covered with blood, but Yang Tian's body was finally dug up. Yang Tian was beaten to pieces by the snowy mountain, and all the bones in his body were broken. It looked like he had been dead for many days. Young master, it's my fault for not protecting the last descendant of the Yang family. Yang Chengxian looked up to the sky and screamed in sorrow, tears falling wildly. The young master is gone, what's the point of living in this world for me? He raised his hands, ready to kill himself. But, at this moment, Yang Tian's corpse in his arms suddenly coughed. Yang Chengxian was stunned. He looked down and saw Yang Tian suddenly waking up. Yang Chengxian was shocked. Can he survive this? The young master is obviously dead, his bones are all broken, and his flesh has turned into pulp. Has my son become immortal? Mr. Yang, I feel so much pain all over my body. Yang Tian spoke with difficulty and said. Keep digging forward. The snow lotus is in front. Dig it out and replenish my body. Hearing this, Yang Chengxian immediately took action, and sure enough, he dug out more than a dozen rare snow lotus plants. Sir, I think these snow lotuses have 6 or 7 stars. Yang Chengxian was overjoyed and immediately gave it to Yang Tian. After Yang Tian took the sansizu, his aura suddenly exploded, his injuries recovered, and his whole body made a breakthrough, entering the realm of the 5 aggregates. However, his 5 aggregates did not evolve magical powers, but some kind of life substance appeared. Yang Tian had a feeling that these life substances were extremely rare and precious and could save lives. No matter how seriously injured he is, it is estimated that these life substances will not decay, so he will not die. By the way, sir, how did you survive? Seeing Yang Tian recover, Yang Chengxian still couldn't help but speak. He felt that his young master was full of weirdness since he was beaten to a pulp by Wu Yazun last time and was resurrected by Ao Wushuan's original energy. Very evil feeling. Yang Tian thought. Mostly because, the original energy in my body, comes from Ao Wushuan. He felt that it was probably the original energy that saved him. Moreover, his magical power of the 5 internal organs seems to have been affected by the original energy, so he did not give birth to special magical powers, but only contained life-preserving substances. Speaking of this, Yang Tian also felt a little depressed. What the hell is this? His path in this life seems to have been led astray. Unlucky and unable to die? How come this looks so similar to our ancestor Yang Daomei? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 834. Now. Ao Wushuan has left Yinhuang and found Song Ji Yuan. Brother Wushuan, you are finally back. Brother, I miss you so much. Song Ji Yuan was excited when he saw Ao Wushuan coming back and said. How's it going? Did you get it done this time? Ao Wushuan nodded and said. Lord, please rest assured, everything goes well. As he spoke, he took out the jade box containing the bones of the Forbidden Lord. Song Ji Yuan took the box and took a look, only to see that the cracks on the bones of the Forbidden Lord had disappeared and were covered with new bloodlines. He was instantly overjoyed. Success, the skeleton of the Forbidden Lord has been reborn. He couldn't help but patted Ao Wushuan on the shoulder, gave a thumbs up, and said. Brother Ao, you are simply a lucky star sent to me by God. You are too talented to be an envoy. Don't worry, I will recommend you to the organization as the chief envoy when I go back this time. From now on, if I have a brother who can eat at once, you will be indispensable. That's what he calls eagerness. When Ao Wushuan heard this, he was also grateful and said. Brother Song, you are also a good person who was given an opportunity by God. We, 2 brothers, work together to bring good fortune to those who commit suicide, no, to visit the prisoner. At this moment, the 2 of them felt so late for meeting each other that they immediately wanted to make a sweet fragrance and sworn friends on the spot. This is a win-win partnership. Here we are, Brother Ao, have you found the jade bottle that the Ning family brought? Song Ji-yuan then asked. The jade bottle of the Ning family contains the mist of chaos. The chaotic mist was taken from the inner scene of Ning Tianji, the ultimate leader of the Ning family. As far as Song Ji-yuan knows, there is a state before embarking on the road called opening the door. By opening the realm, practitioners will open up their own inner scene. The interior scenery is also called the Taoist scenery. The Taoist scenery is a mysterious and unpredictable place, ethereal and unreal, elusive and elusive. Only the practitioner who opens the door can truly feel it. Generally speaking, there is an ancient road in Taoist scenery, which is surrounded by the mist of chaos. Finding the road and setting foot on it can be called the ultimate law in the world. Therefore, those who are on the road are also called ultimate ones in the true ancestor realm. The Taoist scenery of those who embark on the road is inherently in a state of darkness and reality, so the chaotic fog in it can be released into the real world. This time, the explorers came to Yinhuang. In addition to releasing the evil corpse of Yinzun, the most important purpose was to test a method for the world's sacrifice temple. Let's see if that method can really clear away the fog of chaos. Therefore, Song Ji-yuan was very concerned. When Ao Wushuan heard this, he couldn't help but feel slightly nervous. The jade bottle has been found, but the mist in it seems to have disappeared. Ao Wushuan couldn't help but speak anxiously. He is getting weaker and weaker now, and he feels that he is in danger. First, the Forbidden Lord's bone was destroyed, and now the chaos mist is gone. If the world's sacrifice temple and the Inquisitors find out, I will be doomed. With that said, he handed the jade bottle to Song Ji-yuan. Song Ji-yuan picked it up and took a look, but he was instantly overjoyed. Okay, okay, okay. The mist of chaos has indeed been refined. Ha ha ha, the blood of creatures in this world is really effective. In this case, the temple of sacrifice will definitely cooperate with us in full. Brother Ao, you have made another great contribution. The more he looked at Ao Wushuan, the more satisfied he became. Ao Wushuan felt more and more strange in his heart. Why did he make a meritorious service again? He felt that the development of things seemed a bit evil. He originally wanted to tell Song Ji-yuan that not all the creatures in Yinhuang died. But now he has decided to remain silent. It would be wrong to say too much, and if the Forbidden organization knew that all the creatures in Yinhuang were still alive, it might happen again, and no one would be able to save it. Let the forbidden visitors continue to think that their blood curse formation has wiped out the entire Sound Wasteland. I want to report it to the organization immediately. Song Ji-yuan immediately contacted the prisoner. Now, in the true ancestor realm, somewhere in a mysterious space, there is a bone hall exuding a sky full of grey mist. Grey fog was rising, and in the central hall, there was a coffin. The coffin is made of the bones of various creatures. At this moment, 9 elders in the hall were guarding the bone coffin. This part of the Forbidden Lord's bones has revived. An elder spoke. He was the supreme elder of the visitor, Xuanhuan. In his hand was a hand bone. Surprisingly, it was the one Song Ji-yuan sent back from the martial wilderness realm last time. During the time they were sent back, the elders of the visitors did not send them directly back to the coffin. Instead, he kept observing. Because, everything must be ensured. But today, they are basically sure that there is nothing wrong with the bones. It's ready to be put into the coffin. We need to speed up. When the Tianyuan is completely filled, the grey mist sea will occupy this world, and the Forbidden Lord will be resurrected. Another elder spoke, his name was Hui. The words just fell. Report. The Forbidden Lord's second bone has been sent back from the front line. An old man in grey robe came excitedly from outside, holding a jade box in his hand. This grey-robed old man is Wan Kongyun, the head of the outer sect elders. Hearing this, Hui, Xuanhuan and other supreme elders were all overjoyed. So fast. The second bone has actually revived. God help me. They were overjoyed. Huayan took over the Forbidden Lord's bone and examined it carefully. Same as the last one, no problem. The recovery is great, perfect. Huayan couldn't help but admire and said. The Forbidden Lord's bones seem to have absorbed enough evil energy. He smiled and said. Send it to the coffin quickly. Reviving two corpses at once, the Lord of the Forbidden City will definitely be very happy. Immediately, they started the formation. The lid of the white bone coffin suddenly moved slightly. Vaguely, one could see a pale gray corpse lying in the coffin amid the rising gray mist. The bones are densely covered with cracks. Send the bones of the Forbidden Lord. Huiye shouted lowly. Suddenly, the two bones were instantly submerged into the coffin. Lock. He spoke next. Suddenly, the formation came down and sealed the coffin. This bone coffin is an excellent container for storing corpses. Every time it is opened, the original energy in it will escape. Therefore, they are very cautious and lock it in time every time it is opened. But at this moment, the two bones had just been submerged in the coffin. Bang 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 bang. There was a sudden violent crash in the coffin. It was like the bones in the coffin were beating on the coffin. What is going on? Huayan and others were all shocked. Forbidden Lord, there has never been such a movement. At the same time, a stone mirror hanging in front of the coffin suddenly glowed. The stone mirror is the only treasure that allows outsiders to contact the Forbidden Lord. The Forbidden Master's state is very strange, almost dead, and only the sea of consciousness still fluctuates weakly. This stone mirror can connect to the Forbidden Lord's sea of consciousness. Whenever the stone mirror lights up, it means that the Forbidden Lord has instructions. However, the Forbidden Master's state is very strange, so his instructions are often difficult to interpret. At this moment, everyone was calmly concentrating, waiting for the scene in the stone mirror. I saw that the first picture that appeared in the stone mirror was actually like this. The two sections of new bones, which have been rejuvenated, are now pressing on the rest of the old bones, and they are constantly beating, as if they are hitting other parts. Everyone was a little confused. The bones of the Forbidden Lord actually looked like they were fighting. What's going on? Everyone looked at each other. Brother Huiye, you are a master of interpretation. Quick, interpret the meaning of the Forbidden Lord. Huayan spoke to Huiyi. Huiyi has always been the most accurate in interpreting the Forbidden Lord's meaning. Hearing this, Huiyi couldn't help but step forward and murmured. If I'm not wrong, the old man, Lord Forbidden, is exercising. After waiting for an eternity, two bones are finally reborn, so the Lord is happy. Moreover, you can see that the new bones collide with the old bones, and the new bones have the upper hand. This shows that his recovery is really good. As soon as he finished speaking, a picture suddenly lit up on the stone mirror. That picture painted a scene. An elder walked to the coffin and took out all the old bones of the Forbidden Lord's bones. This instruction picture made everyone a little confused. Huiyi couldn't help but said, "Does the Forbidden Lord want us to quickly take out all his old bones?" Hearing this, a skull suddenly appeared on the mirror, moving up and down as if it was very anxious. But the image of the skull is very light. Because, in the coffin, a new bone was hitting the skull of the corpse violently. The head of the Forbidden Master was almost knocked unconscious. This resulted in the Forbidden Lord being unable to transmit information to the outside world at all. Of course, no one saw this scene, because after the Forbidden Master's head was knocked unconscious, the stone mirror returned to normal, and there was no movement again. The skull nodded, which was the last scene everyone saw. The Forbidden Lord confirmed it. Huiyi even had a look of awakening on his face and said, "My guess is correct. The Forbidden Lord is very satisfied with the new bones, so let's speed up." He wants to be reborn as soon as possible. Hearing this, everyone nodded. That must be what it means. After hearing their words, there was no picture on the stone mirror, but the crackling sound in the coffin became more intense. Did you see that? The Forbidden Lord agreed. He looked proud and said, let's quickly get another bone and let the people on the front line take it to other wastelands. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but give a thumbs up. As expected of a master of interpretation. Without Brother Huiye, I don't know when the Forbidden Lord will be able to see the light of day again. They were full of compliments. Haha, you guys are so grateful. Let's follow the Prohibition Master's wishes and pick up another bone and send it to the front line. Immediately, they activated the formation and asked for the bones of the Forbidden Lord. But there was still no movement in the coffin. What's going on? Why doesn't the Forbidden Lord's bone come out yet? Everyone was confused. They didn't know that at this moment, in the coffin, the bones of the Forbidden Master were trembling and huddled together. At this moment, the weak consciousness in the Forbidden Master's sea of consciousness almost wanted to curse. He was obviously frightened by the two new evil bones, so he asked Huihe and others to open the coffin so that they could all escape. As a result, Huihe and others actually activated the formation. In this way, he can only send out one or two bones. Send him out and come back as that kind of evil bone? The Forbidden Lord was simply scared, so scared. Now, at least it can barely resist the attack of those two evil bones. If it had a few more bones and turned into evil bones, wouldn't it be useless? Either they all escape, because we can never send them out one by one. However, the other two new bloodshot bones were overbearing and rushed over, knocking off the Forbidden Master's thigh bone and then throwing it away. Huihe and others were overjoyed when they saw the thigh bone came out. He hurriedly packed the thigh bone in a jade box. Once they leave the bone coffin, the bones lose the control of the Forbidden Lord's sea of consciousness, so they lie quietly without any fluctuations. The Forbidden Lord has a strong desire for recovery. Huihe solemnly picked up the jade box, looked at Xuanhuan, the elder of the outer sect, and said, inform the front line and speed up. Hearing this, Xuanhuan also nodded and said, please rest assured, all the supreme elders. He took the jade box respectfully. At the same time, he didn't know what he thought of, and said, by the way, the front line also sent back the Ning family's jade bottle. The mist of chaos in the jade bottle has completely disappeared. But everyone in the Ning family, Elder Xuanhuan, etc. are all dead. Only Song Jiyuan and Ao Wushuan of our prohibitor organization survived. Last time, it was the two of them who brought the bones of the Forbidden Lord back from the martial wilderness realm. Hearing this, Huihe and others all looked stern. Bring the jade bottle from the Ning family, let's take a closer look. Huihe spoke calmly. In addition, the two people you mentioned, Song Jiyuan and Ao Wushuan, must be well rewarded. Xuanhuan said respectfully. As you command. I asked for leave on the WeChat official account yesterday. If you have nothing to do, you should pay attention to Geixin's nest. Be careful when asking for leave. I will tell you about it in time. It is troublesome to ask for leave if you can't open a leaflet. Xuanhuan. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 835. This is the jade bottle containing the chaotic mist of Ningtianjidao scenic area. In the main hall of the visitor, Huihe looked at the jade bottle with serious eyes and said, the mist of chaos contained in it has really been refined. The method from the grey mist sea is indeed useful. The others nodded when they heard this. Send this bottle to the Ning family. Those beings in the temple of sacrifice can let down their guard and truly cooperate with us. Soon. True Ancestor Realm. Ningzhou, where the Ning family is located. A man in grey robe appeared in front of the Ning family's ancestral land and delivered a bottle. The head of the Ning family came out to greet him in person, many elders protected the law, and the ancestral formation was activated. The thing sent by this man in grey robe is very important, and there must be no room for loss. Chu Si and Yan Ran died in Yinhuang, this is what they exchanged for their lives. In the main hall of the Ning family, an elder's face was filled with pain and he said, "Master, this jade bottle must be presented to Patriarch Tianji immediately." Ning Yuquan, the head of the Ning family, looked at the jade bottle and thought for a long time. The fog has really disappeared, Ancestor and the others may have really found a way forward this time. The abyss has begun to be filled up, and the grey fog sea will eventually come. When the time comes, our Ning family will continue to stand in the grey fog world and never fall. Ning Yuquan's eyes revealed a fiery light. Then, he personally opened the most mysterious magic circle of the Ning family and contacted the Temple of Sacrifice. The Temple of Sacrifice to the world. The 10 deities from the former White Mist era are actually so strong. Ji Wulu and others looked at Ning Tianji with awe. Ning Tianji took action twice, but both times he was defeated with one move. As a result, Ning Tianji's aura is somewhat disordered and he is recovering from his injuries. The 10 figures from the pre-White Mist era should have only been on the road, but they were ridiculously strong. 9 methods are not weaker than them, but they have not been sacrificed and their strongest power has not been stimulated. Chang Sun Changqing spoke in a low voice. According to the Old Testament records, the most powerful power of the 9 laws can only be activated after the ultimate sacrifice. Once activated, the combat power will increase unprecedentedly. After all, Jufa is the one at the end of 10,000 paths, a method left by the ancestral world to fight against the Sea of Grey Mist. Of course it won't be weak. However, they did not dare to take that step, so naturally they were unable to exert the strongest power of the 9 arts. Don't mention the word sacrifice to the world again. Ning Tianji opened his eyes, looked at Chang Sun Changqing, and said, "Now, we just need to wait and see if the blood to mist method is feasible, that's enough." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly sensed something. With a wave of his hand, a jade bottle appeared in front of him. That jade bottle came from the Ning family. There are results. Ning Tianji spoke. All the ultimates immediately focused their attention on the jade bottle. Where's the mist of chaos? Really wiped out? Is the blood of the common people really effective? There's not a trace of fog left. Everyone was shocked when they saw the empty jade bottle. Previously, all the ultimates personally watched Ning Tianji remove a wisp of mist of chaos from the Dao Jingdi and put it into the jade bottle. But at this moment, the fog of chaos disappeared. Moreover, this jade bottle was sealed by them with ultimate magic power, and it was impossible for the fog of chaos to escape. Then there is only one possibility. The fog of chaos has been refined. Ning Tianji saw this and hurriedly sensed it. Immediately, he was overjoyed. It is indeed true. My chaotic mist in this jade bottle has completely disappeared. Blood rushing into the sea of fog is really effective, it can indeed remove the fog in the Taoist landscape. At this moment, all the ultimates in the temple were excited. Finally found the way to enlightenment. After waiting for many years, today, I finally see the hope of moving forward. I'll be able to prove it soon. They were all overjoyed. Very good, very good. Now, we can use the method of blood rushing into the sea of mist to prove the Tao. Ji Wulu smiled slightly and said, "It just so happens that the creatures in the 4 realms and 8 wastelands are enough for us. According to the method of blood rushing through the sea of fog, if you want to break through the fog in an ultimate Dao landscape, you need billions of living beings. If you want all the ultimates in the hall to reach that point, all the creatures in the 4 realms and 8 wastelands may all die." "Haha, Jendao, I'll go first, I choose Xuanhuan." Ning Tianji spoke directly. His eyes were full of passion. "You came first? Why didn't I come first? But next to him, a middle-aged man wearing a gray shirt suddenly spoke coldly. He is the ultimate master of the Wu clan, Wu Jindao. What I'm saying is that although the blood of living creatures from the 4 realms and 8 wastelands is enough for us, but, the order still needs to be agreed upon. Others also spoke. They are all ultimate beings with deep minds and will never allow others to attain enlightenment before themselves. What if the first person to attain enlightenment blocks their path? It should be noted that after they set out on the road, they blocked the way for those who came after them. Therefore, although they are in the same palace, they do not trust each other. Ji Wolo saw the quarrel in the palace and suddenly said, "No matter who takes the path to enlightenment first, others will be dissatisfied. How about we preach together?" Hearing this, everyone looked at him. "Brother Ji, what do you mean?" Chang Ching asked. Ji Wolo said, "Everyone chooses a domain, and then the world is destroyed at the same time. When the time comes, everyone will preach together, and no one will have to worry." Hearing this, everyone in the hall began to think deeply. How can we ensure that everyone can preach together? Wu Qiandao spoke directly. Ji Wolo continued. According to the method of blood rushing into the sea of mist, we only need to introduce a large amount of blood into the Taoist landscape. To achieve this goal, we don't have to do anything ourselves. We just need to let our respective disciples go to the 4 regions and wastelands to build our dojo. After the dojo is established, let each of your disciples do things to destroy the world. At that time, we will pass through the dojo, show the Taoist scenery, and attract the blood of a domain. In this way, we can all stay in the sacrifice temple and supervise each other, and no one needs to leave. In this way, we can naturally ensure that we take that step at the same time. After he finished speaking, everyone in the venue couldn't help but nod. This is a method. It's best this way, lest anyone hide their secrets and secretly prove the truth. Everyone agreed. Very good, then let each disciple go to the area of their choice to establish a dojo. Ji Wolo smiled slightly and said, "By the way, we will tell the world that we are going to fulfill the old covenant and offer sacrifices to the whole world. Anyway, those ants don't know what the real 9 methods are like. When the time comes, we use the method of flushing the sea of fog with blood to destroy the 4 regions and 8 wastelands. It can be said to the outside world that we are performing the method of offering sacrifices to the whole world. The law is wrong, and it is the one at the end of 10,000 paths who has harmed all people in the world and killed hundreds of millions of living beings." After hearing this, everyone was even more happy. "Haha, what a great idea." Ning Tianji smiled and said, "In this way, we can not only use blood to prove the truth, but also get rid of the Old Testament and silence the world's discussion, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Brother Wolo, you are indeed a great talent." They all praised it. In this way, they can attain enlightenment, and they can also let the one at the end of 10,000 paths bear all the stigma for them. While everyone was rejoicing, Chang Ching, the ultimate master, had a flash of thought in his eyes and secretly sealed the secret, as if he was conveying some message. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 836. Soon. In the true ancestor realm, the 9 ancient immortal clans, as well as several top powers, simultaneously sent troops to leave the true ancestor realm. This attracted the attention of the world. All major families and top forces in the true ancestor realm have sent troops to all parties. What is going on? Is there any big change in the 4 regions and 8 wastelands? Haha, Wuzun and Yinzun were born one after another. This marks that a big change has come. Of course they can't sit still. Speculations abounded. However, soon, a piece of news came out. Many ultimates in the temple of sacrifice to the world will fulfill the old covenant and sacrifice to the world together. As soon as the news came out, it immediately caused a big stir. What? Fulfilling the old covenant? Making the ultimate sacrifice according to the 9 laws? Real or fake? Eons have passed, are those beings at the world's sacrifice temple finally going to take action? Great, in this way, as long as it succeeds, according to the 9 laws, all the creatures in the entire ancestral world will be on the road. The news spread to the world, and everyone found it incredible. The ultimate sacrifice to the world, is it true or not? I feel that something is not right. The existences in the temple of sacrifice to the world seem to have been opposed to the sacrifice to the world. It is said that the birth of Wuzun and Yinzun means that great changes have begun. The ultimates have decided to make sacrifices for the sake of the entire ancestral world. As expected, he is the ultimate one, with extraordinary courage. Some people are skeptical, some are worried, but most people are overjoyed. Because, according to the Old Testament and the 9 laws, this is a great thing for the entire ancestral world. The ultimate sacrifice to the world and the whole world. Once successful, all living beings will reach the height of being on the road. Everyone is looking forward to it. The disciples and tribesmen of the ultimates have gone to the 4 regions and 8 wastelands to establish their own dojos. It is said that they will also teach the Dharma. It seems that this ultimate sacrifice is not just a lie, there is hope for the ancestral world. We should rebuild the temple of sacrifice. Sacrificial people who are willing to fulfill the old covenant are worthy of the respect of the world. The news spread throughout the ancestral world. For a time, countless incense temples that had been destroyed by Yinzun were rebuilt to worship the beings in the temple. The world already believes that the ultimates in the temple of sacrifice will finally take the much anticipated step, attracting worldwide attention. And at this moment, one of the 4 realms and 8 wildernesses, a barren mountain. Savage, as its name suggests, this world is extremely primitive. It is rare to see large and prosperous cities. In the wilderness, there are at most 1 or 2 barbarian cities built by barbarian tribes. They are all made of tens of thousands of kilograms of boulders, rough and majestic. At this moment, somewhere in the wilderness, deep in the mountains, in a stone cave, an old man sat cross-legged on a square piece of divine iron. He has white hair like a lion's mane, his eyes are closed, and there is a terrifying spear in front of him. He is like a sculpture. However, at this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. In the old eyes, it was like 2 gun lights blooming past. The temple of sacrifice to the world, is going to destroy the world. The old man murmured, with a look of surprise on his face. Ancestor can't stop him, he can only place his hope on us. He whispered and suddenly grasped the spear in his hand. My eldest grandson is immortal, we must not sit idly by and watch. After saying that, he immediately spit out a mouthful of grey blood and used the blood method to transmit the sound. He's looking for 2 other people. Wu Jianghe, Ji Wuden. He definitely can't save the 4 realms and 8 desolations by himself, so this time, we have to go together. I don't know if the origin of the grey mist in their bodies has been suppressed. When I went crazy, my ancestor secretly saved me, but I still almost went crazy. Those 2 old brothers must not die. He whispered. Soon. A voice suddenly came from the blood talisman. Damn it, Chang Sun, you're not dead. Wu Jianghe's voice came, full of excitement. At the same time, another voice also sounded. Everyone is still alive, it's great that we 3 brothers can be reunited again. Chang Sun Bumi knew that this was Ji Wuden's voice. Brothers, report your location. I risk my life to contact you this time. Something big is going to happen. Chang Sun Buletin Mi gritted his teeth and spoke. The 3 of them were originally being hunted by the temple of sacrifice and were not tolerated by the world, so they fled for their lives. In order not to expose each other's positions, they would never contact each other until a critical moment. Blood wasteland. Ji Wuden's voice came. Yinhuang left just now, and now he is in the starry sky between Yinhuang and Wuhuang. Wu Jianghe spoke. Chang Sunbumi immediately said. The temple of sacrifice to the world obtained an evil method from the sea of grey mist, called blood rushing into the sea of mist. They have already confirmed this method in Yinhuang. Now, they are going to use the blood of all living beings to break away their proof. Road. Now, their disciples and others have already gone to various deserts. Soon after, their disciples will establish dojos in various wastelands, and then, destroy the 4 regions and 8 wastelands. After listening, Wu Jianghe's roar came instantly. These old fools, damn it, I just heard that the world's sacrifice temple is going to fulfill the old covenant, and I'm still wondering what medicine these old fools are selling in their gourds. It turns out that in the name of fulfilling the old covenant, I want to destroy the world. I will fight with them. Ji Wuden also said. Don't worry, if those bitches dare to come to Blood Wasteland, I will make sure they never come back. The words were cold. Upon hearing this, Chang Sunbumi hurriedly raised his eyes, glanced outside the cave, and said. Don't mention the word dog, damn, I got a black dog in traffic. Hearing this, Wu Jianghe and Ji Wuden were immediately shocked. Black dog, what black dog? Ji Wuden's voice came from the blood talisman, and he seemed a little unsure. Chang Sunbumi gritted his teeth and said. Damn it, I went all the way to the wilderness in order to find something to suppress the source of the grey mist in my body. Here, I found a ruins. There is a sacred iron platform in the ruins. There is a huge butt mark on the platform. After I sat on it, I was able to suppress the source of the grey fog. But my butt is not warm yet, and a big black dog blocked me inside the hole. Now that dead dog is still blocking me outside. Fortunately, there is only one way into the hole, and I guarded it with a spear. If it dares to come in, I'll stab it to death with my spear. After listening, Blood Talisman fell into a long silence. Why don't you talk anymore? Chang Sunbumi then asked. I can't really walk away now. As soon as I leave this butt mark, my grey mist source becomes restless. Brothers, how is your grey mist source? Is it stable? Ji Wuden hesitated and said. Well, hold on. Wu Jianghe also said. Hey, it's stable, but, damn, I won't say anything anymore. There seems to be something unspeakable. Chang Sunbulet and me was overjoyed when he heard this. It seemed that these 2 old brothers also had a great chance to suppress the origin of the grey mist. How do you hold it steady? Teach me, damn it, I originally wanted to take this magical iron platform with me, but it's too heavy and I can't lift it at all. The blood talisman suddenly became quiet. Wu Jianghe and Ji Wuden didn't seem to want to talk. Brother Immortal, I have a suggestion. After a long while, Ji Wuden spoke, seemingly embarrassed, and said. If those grandsons from the Temple of Sacrifice hadn't been so bullying, I wouldn't have suggested you do this. But, now we have no choice, after all, we have to take action. Chang Sunbumi was almost furious and said. That's what you said? Ji Wuden said. Ji Wuden, you beast, it turns out you were the one who caused that dog, I have to kill you. Those words made my teeth itch with hatred. Ji Wuden's words were a bit shocked, and he said. Have you encountered it too? When asked this question, Wu Jianghe seemed to be startled for a moment, and then the voice of gritted teeth came. What do you think? Ji Wuden seemed to be speechless. He was silent for a long time before the voice continued. Now, if Brother Immortal wants to suppress the origin of the grey mist, he can only go out and find that dog. This is something that can't be helped. Hearing this, Wu Jianghe seemed to be silent. That's true, damn it, we've both encountered each other before. If you don't go, Eldest grandson, I'm sorry to both of you. Go ahead and do what Xuanhuan said. There will indeed be big surprises and big opportunities. But at this moment, Chang Soonbumi felt something strange, something didn't seem right. Two old brothers, please don't cheat me. He couldn't help but speak. Don't worry, there will be a surprise. Xuanhuan's voice was very determined. Wu Jianghe also said. Believe us. Chang Sun Bulet and me thought for a moment and realized that neither Xuanhuan nor Wu Jianghe could trick him. That's it, let's fight. He immediately picked up the spear and said. Then I went to find the black dog. I spread my legs and clamped its head between my legs, right? Is it that simple? Can it stabilize the origin of the grey fog? Before leaving, Chang Soonbumi confirmed it again. That's right, go quickly. Xuanhuan and Wu Jianghe both spoke urgently. Okay, then I will extinguish the blood talisman first. See you later. After saying that, he destroyed the blood talisman. Lifting the spear, she took a deep breath and stood up from the divine iron platform. The moment he stood up, Chang Soonbumi clearly felt that the source of the grey mist in his body seemed to be a little restless again. He couldn't help but look back and glanced at the iron platform reluctantly. The divine iron platform is a square shape, with a length of 2 to 3 meters, but its texture is extremely extraordinary. In the center of the divine iron platform, there is a very clear butt mark. It can be vaguely seen that that butt is quite fat. I don't know what kind of powerful person he is, but he can actually leave a butt mark on such magical iron. Moreover, after all eternity, he can actually suppress the source of the grey mist in my body. It's amazing. Chang Soonbumi sighed and said, it's a pity that I can't take it with me. After saying that, he walked outside. The further forward and closer to the entrance of the cave, the more frightened he became. Why doesn't it feel right? Chang Soonbumi murmured. He always felt that something was not quite right between Wu Jianghe and Xuanhuan this time. But then, he gritted his teeth. I, the majestic king of holy spears, have I ever been afraid? Immediately mustered up the courage and rushed out. And at this moment, outside the cave entrance, a big black dog is wandering. This big black dog is the one that ran from behind the giant bronze door of Yangjian. At first, it was guarding the giant bronze door, but when it saw a sarcophagus flying out of the world, it chased it out. In the end, I failed to catch up and lost the pursuit. Even its dog nose can't be followed and cannot be found. So, it changed direction and came to the wilderness to look for the corpse of its old friend. Wow, Fatty left too few things behind. We have to hold this butt mark to find his body. The big black dog whispered. Among the 10 deities at that time, he was the only one who used his body to patch up the leaks in the sky. He did not die in the burial pit, but he did not escape the evil hands. His body was also poisoned. As he spoke, it became a little irritable and looked towards the cave, with a fierce look in its eyes. It was ready to rush in. But, at this moment, a strong wind suddenly hit the cave. Immediately afterwards, an old man rushed over with lightning speed. He spread his legs, opened the door wide, and sent it towards the head of the big black dog. Suddenly, the big black dog was shocked. Damn, what is this old guy doing? Is there such a thing as a gift? It was angry. How much did the other party despise itself? Bullying a dog is too much. Woof. It just bit it hard. At this moment, Chang Soonbumi only had one thought in his mind. There will be a big surprise. He remembered what Xuanhuan said. But, the next moment, a sharp pain spread throughout the body. Xuanhuan, Wu Jianghe, you two beasts. You are not human. He was distraught. Wu Jianghe and Xuanhuan actually lied to him and let him be bitten by a dog. The key is. At this moment, he really regretted and hated it. In the void between Wuhuang realm and Yinhuang realm. The grandson is immortal, he must have been bitten by that dead dog now. Wu Jiang he couldn't help but lower his head, with a look of deep sadness and anger on his face. Ji Wuden is a beast. It's not good to offend anyone. He has to offend such a dog. As he spoke, he murmured somewhat complicatedly, however, Chang Sun Fumi was bitten, why do I feel a little happy in my heart? Damn it, it doesn't matter, as long as I'm not the only one bitten. And at this moment, blood shortage. Under a cliff, in front of a cave. A strange old man sneezed repeatedly. Damn, who scolded me? He didn't know which direction he was looking in, with a complicated expression on his face, and said. As he said that, he couldn't help but think of the continuous sneak attacks by that dead dog when he was in the world of the underworld. Brother immortal, you can't blame me, I've been bitten many times, it's just once for you, it's okay. He comforted himself. And at this moment, martial wilderness world. Nanfan, Xiling, and others finally returned to the dead man's wasteland. The powerful man of Gai Dai Yin Dao was like a walking zombie, following Nanfang in a daze, always looking at the Qin on Nanfang's back, feeling lost. Wu Dade, on the other hand, used a rope to drag King Qin's two disciples, Qiu Qing and Xuanhuan. The two beautiful beauties were now covered in mud by him, looking at Wu Dade with hatred. Stop looking. If you look again, I will throw you into the village cesspit. Wu Dade threatens. Immediately, Qiu Qing and Xuanhuan lowered their heads in humiliation, not daring to look at him. They immediately headed towards the small mountain village. Good night. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 837. In the starry sky, a fleet headed towards Wuhuang realm. This fleet is vast, with 40 terrifying ships in the starry sky. On each battleship, a large flag is erected, and there is a large Chinese character with a flying phoenix on it. Wu. The Wuhuang realm is the place chosen by Wu Jindao, the ultimate leader of the Wu clan. Therefore, this time the Wu clan sent many strong men to build a dojo. The battleship at the front of the mighty fleet is even more like a mountain. Its entire body is made of terrifying black iron, densely covered with runes, and exudes a terrifying aura. That's a Spirit King class battleship. This means that a Chaos Spirit King has emerged from the martial clan. 4 refinements, 5 aggregates, 6 treasures, spiritual platform, soul enlightenment, and flawless. After having no time, there is the realm of opening the door. After opening the door, there is the ultimate, hitting the road. And the strong man in the flawless realm is respected by the world as the Chaos Spirit King. In this world, the ultimate ones on the road are all in the temple of sacrifice. And when they reach the realm of opening the door, they have already opened the Taojing land. Almost all cultivators at this level are in seclusion in order to find the way to the Taojing land. Cultivators at this level can be called the trump cards of all races. It will never appear until the last minute. Therefore, in a sense, the Chaos Spirit King is the strongest person in the world. This time, the Wu clan can be said to have touched its true foundation. Reporting to the Minghuo Spirit King, we can reach the Wuhuang realm in one day. On the Spirit King class battleship, a middle-aged man sat next to the table, sipping light gray origin tea. There was a bright fire spirit pattern between his eyebrows, like a closed eye. He is the strongest person sent by the martial clan this time, the Minghuo Spirit King. At this moment, an old man stood respectfully behind him and said, Spirit King, this world is not simple. The strong men our martial clan sent before, are all dead. Even the martial arts true self mirror has disappeared. When Wu Minghuo heard this, he sneered and said. How can a mere martial arts world turn the world upside down? Don't worry, this time the king comes in person, no matter who it is, it will die. The fleet moved forward. And at this moment, in the world of martial arts, there is a wasteland of dead people. Nanfan and others arrived at the small mountain village. Seeing the small mountain village in front of them, Qiuqing and Xuanhuan were immediately shocked. This place. Is this some forbidden place? At first glance, it is scarier than Xuanhuan Mountain where the 10 gods live. Xuanhuan was a little scared. She felt that this place contained vast and boundless terrifying power. If she came close, she would definitely be killed. Master, wake up quickly. This place is too scary. You can't go there. Qiuqing, on the other hand, looked at Qing Cheng and kept talking, trying to wake up Qing Cheng. However, Qing Cheng was still in a daze at this moment, just looking straight at the guqin on Nanfan's back. That piano shocked her soul, too completely. To this day, she still can't help herself. Let's go. Nanfan walked into the village. But Qiuqing and Xuanhuan were struggling, kicking Wu Dade wildly. No, we won't go, we don't want to go to this kind of place. It's so scary here. They are very afraid of small mountain villages. I didn't dare to go in at all. Wu Dade was speechless. He had no choice but to tie them to a big tree outside the village. A group of people walked into a small mountain village. The moment she entered the small mountain village, King Chinch's expression suddenly changed. The energy here caused an inexplicable fear to flash through her heart. This fear made her wake up from the state of trance just now. Wrong. She glanced around subconsciously, and her expression suddenly changed. No. What is this place? She spoke in fear, and at the same time stepped back. She clearly saw that in every inch of space, the supreme taboo aura was flowing. The seemingly ordinary cottages and houses everywhere are like unexplorable forbidden caves. I don't know what kind of evil people live there. Trees with withered autumn leaves are like terrifying creatures that have been silent for eternity, suppressing monstrous power. Sky. Where have I gone? Could it be that here? Is it the world over the road? She looked at Nanfan and others in fear and said. Who are you? It was Nanfan and others who brought him here. Could it be that they came from the other side of the road? I can't imagine this. The creatures that entered the other side of the road never appeared. Nanfan looked at Qing Cheng with an indifferent expression and said. When you meet my master later, you will naturally know. Qing Cheng was shocked and said. Your master is the owner of the piano on your back. She was very afraid of that piano. That piano seemed to her to be an unimaginably forbidden instrument. It is impossible to have the south wind. Moreover, Nanfan is the reincarnation of Yinzan. She obviously died so thoroughly. Could it be that Nanfan's so-called master is the one who made her reborn? This kind of existence, I can't imagine it. At this moment, she hesitated in her heart. She knew that entering this kind of place. I'm afraid I'm doomed. What exactly do you want to do to me? She gritted her teeth and asked. Nanfan said. Cure you. Cure mental illness. The autumn mood is getting stronger and stronger, rendering the small mountain village poetic and picturesque. Ginkgo trees stand in rows at the east end of the village, with golden leaves flying all over the sky. Parasol trees stand along the road at the west end of the village, layer upon layer. The small mountain village is like a paradise. Even if the outside world is turned upside down, it is always quiet and beautiful. In the small courtyard, everything is as before. Lu Rang was taking care of the cabbages and radishes in the field, cleaning up the weeds, and occasionally feeding a handful of grass to the little golden calf behind him. The little golden bull is growing stronger and stronger, its body is golden, and it is an extraordinary horse. Du Guyuking practiced the 5 books of Taoyuan all day long and was quite accomplished in silver hook and iron painting. Sometimes the little red bird would land on his shoulder, and sometimes it would fly over and swim with the chickens, leisurely and contentedly. Ching Chen carried a broom and sat under the peach tree, concentrating carefully. Whenever a yellow leaf fell from the peach tree, he would accurately stretch out the broom to catch it. Don't let a leaf fall to the ground. Even his little monkey imitated his example, squatting beside him, and pounced out whenever the leaves fell. Plants such as unicorn trees and primitive divine grapes are also losing their leaves, which makes the dust cleaning workload much greater. Lin Zhichen was also writing and drawing, but his drawings were crooked, like a child's graffiti. If you look closely, what he drew looked very much like the outline of a small mountain village. He was practicing the talisman, and the small mountain village was the most vast and supreme talisman of creation. Therefore, he is portraying the talisman of the small mountain village to exercise his abilities. Of course, he was already sweating profusely before he could even draw a large outline. The little Kylin ran back and forth in front of him, pointing here and there with his little hooves from time to time, indicating that his painting was crooked again. But Lin Zhichen could only smile bitterly. He was already very familiar with the small mountain village, but he could not draw it. Long Xuanhuan was catching fish. He became more and more familiar with the 6 hunting skills, and he could occasionally touch the fish body. In the pond, at some point, a lotus leaf grew, the martial arts Tianxin lotus. It was finally saved and reborn. The little black fish grew to the length of a chopstick, swaying around the lotus leaves and making waves in the water. Xuanhuan read quietly, enjoying it, not wanting to let go of the cold and heat. It has only been a while, but she has already read dozens of books. Nowadays, Xuanhuan has a special temperament. She reads a lot, which makes her appear smart yet well-behaved and quiet. On the other side, Li Fan was doing needlework with Yun 11, Subakian, and Gong Yat. The weather is getting cold, it's time to make some thick clothes for everyone. Cotton, fabric, many materials were placed together. Li Fan held the needle and taught Yun 11 and others. Cotton robes must be thick and compact to avoid the cold, so the stitches must be dense and inserted faster. Everyone followed Li Fan, but Gong Yat and Subakian learned the needlework the fastest. Although Yun 11 is smart, she seems to have no talent in terms of working as a female worker or cooking skills. The pins are in the wrong place. Li Fan smiled and guided Yun 11. Hold the needle tightly and relax when inserting it. Don't be nervous. When you pull it out, do it a little faster like me. Repeat it back and forth. Needlework is that simple. Yun 11 was still a little shy. She looked at Subakian and Gong Ya next to her with annoyance, and for the first time a look of envy appeared in her beautiful big eyes. Sister Gong Ya did it so quickly. Li Fan couldn't help but smile and said, "You go and study with Xuanhuan, I'll just make you a winter coat." This silly girl has no hope, it seems she has to do it herself. Hearing this, Yun 11 was immediately happy and said, "Thank you, well, then I'm going to study. Make me a thicker winter skirt." With that said, she immediately went to play with Xuanhuan. At this moment, a voice came from outside the small courtyard. "Master, we are back." It is the sound of the south wind. Li Fan raised his eyes and saw Nanfan and the others pushing open the door and entering. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Gui Xian. Chapter 838. Seeing Nanfan and the others returning, Li Fan stood up happily. "Master, we are back." Nanfan and others stepped forward to salute. "Just come back. How was it? Did it go well? Have you found the mentally ill person?" Nanfan said. "Master Qi, everything goes well. We have also brought the mentally ill person. It is just outside the small courtyard. She dare not come in. Hearing this, Li Fan couldn't help but be happy. Found it, great. In this way, I am one step closer to the golden elixir. Let's go out and take a look, master. Immediately, everyone followed Li Fan and walked out of the small courtyard. Outside the courtyard, Qing Cheng stared blankly at Wu Erxianting. She was extremely shocked, with an incredible look in her eyes. How can this kind of place exist? Beyond everything in the world, this is the core of this forbidden mountain village. She murmured. I can't imagine what kind of existence can live in it. And the next moment, the door was pushed open. Qing Cheng raised her eyes and saw that a young man with an elegant temperament had walked out. He looked like he was only in his 20s. He was elegant, but he was not arrogant at all. There was just a kind of calm indifference, just like in the world of mortals. An average scholar. However, Qing Cheng trembled when she saw him. No. How could this kind of existence appear in the chaos ancestral realm? How could such an existence come out from the other side of the road? This has gone beyond all common sense. She hurriedly lowered her head, and at this moment, cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Don't look directly, don't look directly. She murmured, terrified in her heart. She knew that for a being of this level, just one look might cause indescribable weirdness to happen to her. Because, the other side of the road represents the real weirdness and ominousness. The existence that walked out from there was simply the incarnation of weirdness and ominousness, a taboo among taboos. When Li Fan saw this, he couldn't help but feel slightly shocked. This girl is so miserable. Such long hair, such a cold weather, still wearing thin morning clothes, and his face is covered with scars like centipedes. Looking at her waist and figure, she must have been a beauty once, but now she has become so ugly, how can she not be crazy? He felt that the girl in front of him must have gone through many painful experiences. At this moment, next to Li Fan, Yun 11 also came out. When she saw Qing Cheng, her big eyes were a little surprised and she said, her face. Hearing these 3 words, Qing Cheng felt as if she had seen a ghost. No matter how scared she was, she couldn't help but raise her eyes. When she saw Yun 11, she was even more horrified. You are here. She was shocked. In the past, after the woman known as the End of 10,000 Paths captured them to guard the evil corpse, didn't she embark on that path? Qing Cheng still remembers that the woman once said that she was going to find someone on the other side of the road. She couldn't help but glance at Li Fan. Could it be that this young man? Is this the person she's looking for? Just as she was thinking, there was a sudden pain in the sea of consciousness, as if it was about to burst. Ah! She wailed and almost fell to the ground. At the same time, she felt that a piece of broken jade was floating in her sea of consciousness. The piece of broken jade appeared inexplicably in her hand. This is the one at the end of 10,000 paths. The thing left in my sea of consciousness. Qing Cheng was even more frightened. For all eternity, she didn't notice it at all. The one at the end of 10,000 paths not only allowed her to guard the evil corpse, but also allowed her to become the carrier of this jade. She, left behind. At this moment, Qing Cheng thought of a lot. When Yun 11 saw this, he was slightly happy and said, Great Demon King, look at the red dust jade. She immediately walked over and picked up the red dust jade. I got another piece, it's the same as the one in the dream. She looked at Hong Chen jade and was overjoyed. Li Fan also smiled slightly, and then, looking at Qing Cheng, he couldn't help but sigh slightly and said, Girl, have you suffered a lot? When Qing Cheng heard this, her trembling heart couldn't help but be slightly startled. This supreme being is asking himself questions. What does he mean? This kind of existence will never ask meaningless questions. The other person asked if he had suffered a lot. Could it be that the other party saw the knot in his heart? Yes, that must be the case. Her life has been full of wanderings. From the age of 6, life has become extremely dark. The suffering she had suffered and the crimes she had seen, made her feel hatred in her heart. It was that hatred that allowed her to make rapid progress in her yin dao cultivation. But it also made her voice sound extremely narrow. It can be said that there is hatred in success and hatred in failure. Now, this big boss asks himself if he has suffered a lot. Is this obviously to untie the knot in my heart and clear my voice? She felt, that was probably it. Thinking of this, she suddenly became excited. What a blessing it would be to be guided by such an unparalleled taboo. She nodded immediately and said, "Thank you for your guidance, Senior Ching Cheng, I'm grateful." After saying that, she directly pulled up her hair with one hand. "Start playing right then and there." Seeing this, all the disciples were shocked. They clearly felt that King Ching's hair seemed to have turned into terrifying strings, with invisible sound waves flowing, and the notes of the avenue were like flowing water. It's tactful, poignant, and sounds despairing. However, this invisible piano sound, Li Fan was completely unaware of it. He looked at the woman in front of him and was immediately shocked. This woman is truly a madman. Use your hair as a piano? Unheard, unseen. Sure enough, madmen cannot understand. He couldn't help but shake his head. The south wind whispered, saying, "Master, although Miss Kingchin's behavior is very different, there is a reason for what happened. When she was 6 years old, she was humiliated. Later, she was sold to a brothel by her relatives and made a living as an entertainer. Her face was cut by herself. She once loved the piano, but it's a pity that she took the wrong path." Both are members of the Qin Dao, and Nanfan also feels sympathy for Qing Cheng. When she saw her master shaking his head, she was afraid that his master would not like King Qing's murderous intentions, so she explained. When Li Fan heard this, he immediately felt compassion. "I didn't expect this girl to be so pitiful." "That's fine." Li Fan immediately spoke and said, "Come in with me. I will play a zither song for you to soothe your heart." Hearing this, Qing Cheng didn't dare not go, and immediately followed everyone into the small courtyard. The moment she entered the small courtyard, she felt a shock in her mind. For a moment, she felt as if she was being glanced at by countless terrifying beings. She subconsciously looked at the group of chickens that were pecking at the wheat grains. No, that's not a chicken at all, but according to legend, there is no trace even in the grey mist sea, Phoenix. Then I took a look at the fish in the pond. Oh my God, those are not fish at all, they are all dormant eternal dragons. And that peach tree. There were rumors in the grey mist sea that eons ago, there was a peach branch sticking out on the other side of the road, suppressing the entire grey mist sea. Could it be related to this peach tree? She knelt down directly. This small courtyard is terrible. Even when she knelt down, she was startled because she almost touched a spider crawling on the ground. That spider clearly exudes a powerful forbidden power. She felt that the other party could easily kill her. At this moment, she was a powerful voice, but she didn't dare to move. At this moment, Li Fan had already sat down calmly. Immediately, Nanfan took off the guqin and placed it in front of Li Fan. Li Fan played the piano calmly. "Start with a song." In an instant, everyone in the field couldn't help but be shocked. This song by Li Fan is different from the past. It's not the killing power of Emperor Zun's formation-breaking song, it's not the ethereal and transcendent music of Forgetting the Dust, it's not the supreme sound of the 10 tones of eternity. Instead, it is like the sound of an old piano coming from the noisy fireworks of the world. In the piano, there seems to be a mother's lullaby to the baby, there seems to be childhood sweethearts crying and playing, there seems to be the congratulations of the newlyweds when they worship the heaven and the earth, There seems to be the old woman and the old man. Chi Yi whispered. This song is the fireworks of the world, the sound of all living beings, and the life and death, sorrow and joy, sweetness and bitterness of all living beings in the world. Everyone feels it. They all couldn't help but feel pity. It was just a song, but it was like seeing all the world and feeling all kinds of life. Only by training your mind in the world of mortals can you know the way forward. Master, I have seen all the world. Nanfan murmured, and in just this moment, she felt that her understanding of Kindeo had reached a new level. No matter how ordinary a life is, there will be extraordinary emotions. There are too many falsehoods in this world, but it also contains a lot of truth. Zi Ling's big eyes seemed to have enlightenment. The common people are not chess pieces, the common people are the common people, because no one can take away their emotions. Some kind of barrier in Zhang Li's heart was broken instantly. And Qing Cheng, who was kneeling in front of Li Fan, was already in tears at this moment. Following Li Fan's music, she clearly saw the countless people she had wiped out. She saw the newborn baby, which had already died in her own hatred without even looking at the world. She saw an old man who had done good deeds throughout his life, but failed to die, but died because of his own anger. She saw the lover she was in love with, and she died in her own resentment with regrets without ever holding hands. I was wrong. Hate has obscured my eyes, preventing me from seeing the warmth and truth and goodness of this world. Her eyes were filled with tears. She kowtowed heavily towards Li Fan. At this moment, she completely woke up. In fact, during the countless years of her practice, someone had told her that even if she had hatred, the common people were innocent. However, her hatred was like a layer of cocoon, wrapping her tightly. No matter how many truths she heard, she could not reverse her resentment. Only today, Li Fan directly touched her wrapped heart with his supreme piano music. She felt like she was back before she was 6 years old, carefree, seeing the beauty of the world again, and feeling the warmth of the world. She knew that the mortal song she listened to today had completely saved her imprisoned soul. On this day, her originally lost Qin Dao finally became clear. Thank you, Senior. She knelt down and thanked him. Li Fan, on the other hand, slowly lowered his hands. He looked at Qing Cheng and couldn't help but nodded and said, just stay in the village from now on. Great virtue, call Ming Tianbei to come and fetch people. At the same time, the martial fleet, already outside the Wuhuang world, they fell directly towards Wuhuang realm. Install. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 839. Small Village. In the small courtyard, Qing Cheng had suddenly come to his senses. Eternal sinking and hatred, and soaring resentment cut off her path forward. Today, after listening to the song Red Dust, she let go of her inner obsessions. And when I heard the Supreme Being in front of me say, let me stay in the village in the future, she was even more surprised and excited. This kind of place is a forbidden place, but it is also a place of supreme practice. Generally speaking, it can only be found on the other side of the road. Who among the creatures in the grey mist sea and the ancestral realm has such qualifications to enter it? This is simply an unimaginable opportunity. At the same time, she took a deep breath, and instantly thought that she was able to obtain such a blessing, all because of the one at the end of 10,000 paths. If it weren't for guarding the evil corpse, how could we have the blessings we have today? Thanks, thanks. At the same time, she quickly thanked Yongzi. At this time, Wu Dade had returned and said, Master, Ming Tianbei has arrived and is waiting outside. He just went to call Ming Tianbei. Hearing this, Li Fan nodded and said, Xuanhuan, you and Dade will send Miss Qing Cheng to the hospital together. Qing Cheng was a madman after all, and it would be bad if he went crazy on the way, so he asked two male disciples to escort him together. Xuanhuan nodded immediately and said, "Yes, master." Qing Cheng immediately followed the two of them out of the small courtyard. And at this moment, outside the small courtyard, Ming Tianbei was waiting, his eyes filled with anxiety and anticipation. Another psychopath? He knew that it was probably another big boss. Although he had already met Luo Xing Chen, he was still a little nervous. I couldn't help but take a look at the cattle whip on my waist. Given by Uncle John. Holding the cattle whip tightly, he felt confident. Soon, the door of the small courtyard opened, and Wu Date and Long Xuan walked out with a woman with scars on her face. She is the new psychopath who likes to play the piano. Wu Date spoke to Ming Tianbei and introduced Qing Cheng. He is the director of the lunatic asylum in our village, Ming Tianbei. He will take care of you from now on. Hearing this, Qing Cheng was a little confused. She hasn't quite reacted yet. When did you become mentally ill? And also, going to a lunatic asylum? I am a powerful Qin Dao expert. Wrong. She suddenly thought that this was the arrangement of the big boss in the small courtyard. There must be a deep meaning. Moreover, as long as you can stay in the village, what's wrong with being a mentally ill person? It's also very fragrant. She quickly adjusted her mentality and said, I have met Dean Tianbei. So cute. When Ming Tianbei saw this, he stopped being nervous and released his hand from the cattle whip on his waist. Seeing this scene, Qing Cheng felt like vomiting blood. Did Ming Tianbei just want to whip herself? However, a look of fear instantly flashed in her eyes, because she discovered that the whip had a very terrifying aura. It's as if a whip can kill a supreme being. Although it's not as good as Nanfan's piano, it's still extremely terrifying. Her heart suddenly became complicated, and there was a hint of envy in her eyes as she looked at Ming Tianbei. She could see that Ming Tianbei, a little demon cultivator, was not very strong. However, you can actually wear such a supreme weapon. I have to accept it? Qing Cheng, right? From now on, you will be psycho number 2, come with me. Ming Tianbei spoke immediately. Qing Cheng was about to stand up, but suddenly thought of something and said, Master Wu, my 2 disciples, can you let me see them? She sighed and said, both of them are also miserable people. Just like me, their eyes were covered by hatred. Now Qing Cheng can see the light. I want them to let go of their obsession. When Wu Date heard this, he said, okay, let's go, we'll take you there. Immediately, they walked towards the outside of the village. Outside the village. Damn you, fat man, I'm going to kill you. You actually treat us like this, ah. Qiuqing and Xuanhuan both cursed with grief and anger. The 2 of them were tied to the tree by Wu Date like oxen. The key is that the rope used by Wu Date is so extraordinary that even if they are extremely powerful, they cannot break free. You 2 girls, you don't want the great opportunity I gave you, and you still scold me? You are so cruel. I really wonder if you are born in the year of the dog. At this time, Wu Date's voice came. Xuanhuan and Qiuqing immediately looked back. Fatty. I am going to kill you. Their eyes were red. Don't be rude. But at this moment, behind Wu Date, Qing Cheng walked out. Seeing Qing Cheng, Xuanhuan and Qiuqing were instantly overjoyed. Master! Master, you finally woke up. They were all very excited. When Qing Cheng heard this, she smiled desolately and said, yeah, finally woke up. Today, I need a song from a master to wake up from hatred. Hearing this, Xuanhuan Kaiyuking was a little confused. Master, it seems different from before. I was blinded by hatred, and I tired you too. You followed me into the evil barrier. Qing Cheng looked at Xuanhuan and Qiuqing, with a flash of pity in her eyes, and said, "Today, I atone for myself and for you too." After she finished speaking, she suddenly pulled up her hair and started playing, and the music suddenly started to sound. In her music, there is no longer sadness or hatred. Instead of the sharpness and cruelty of the past, there is a kind of compassion and gentleness in her music. She pitied herself and the innocent people she killed. At this moment, endless visions unfolded around her. That was a period of time when countless innocent souls were howling and crying. But at this moment, those evil souls seemed to be summoned by the sound of her piano, rushing towards her, biting her soul. The countless souls she had killed formed endless resentment. Those grievances have been following her, and at this moment, the endless grievances are seeking revenge. Not only her, but also such resentful spirits appeared around Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan, heading towards Qingcheng. She is paying off her debt. Not only repaying the debts owed by oneself, but also repaying the debts of Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan. Endless souls of grievances were seeking revenge and biting. At this moment, Qingcheng was bleeding from all her orifices, her black hair suddenly turned white, and her whole body was twitching and twisting. Pain. At the same time, her Qin Dao cultivation was declining rapidly. In the end, he even fell from the top level. Seeing this, Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan's expressions changed drastically. "Master! Master, no!" they shouted, trying to stop Qingcheng. However, Qingcheng struggled to hold on, and she continued to play the music. In the music, she was also imitating Li Fan's music just now. Red Dust Song, Wash Away All Sins. Even Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan were affected by the sound of her piano. At this moment, they were in a trance, seeing the innocent people and the compassion in their hearts. Long Zixuan and Wu Dade were surprised when they saw this, but they just watched. This is their own debt and they need to repay it themselves. Ming Tianbei, who followed, couldn't help but tighten his grip on the whip. This woman, why does she really look like a psychopath? After a long time. Puff. Qingcheng collapsed on the ground and spat out a mouthful of grey blood. At this moment, her cultivation was running low and she was almost a useless person. However, there was an unprecedented relief in her eyes. "Master!" The resentment in Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan's hearts disappeared at this moment, and unprecedented kindness and truth appeared in their eyes. They looked at Qingcheng with tears in their eyes. For them, Qingcheng is nothing less than a gift of renewal. But Qingcheng smiled Xuanhuan and said, "Kill to pay for life, debt to pay for money, I owe too much debt, death is too cheap for me. From today on, every day when I fall asleep, I will be killed by resentful spirits in my dreams. Life is worse than death." Hearing this, Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan burst into tears. "There is no need to be sad for me. Only by cutting off the road of yesterday and paying off the debt I owe can I move on. You too, you must do more good deeds and don't go astray again. This is the best reward for your teacher." Qingcheng gave instructions. After speaking, he turned around and said, "Dean Tianbei, please take Qingcheng to the hospital." At this moment, she was extremely calm. When Ming Tianbei saw this, his heart felt complicated. He couldn't help but admire the woman in front of him. It's too cruel. He has a peerless cultivation level that can be destroyed at any time. He would rather start over from scratch and suffer the pain of losing his life every night. "Then come with me." Ming Tianbei immediately led Qingcheng towards the lunatic asylum built in the village. But Xuanhuan and Xuanhuan were still kneeling in front of the mountain village at this moment. "Hey, be a good person from now on." Wu Dade stepped forward and untied the rope for them. Xuanhuan said, "The teacher's kindness is as great as a mountain. The two of us are willing to sacrifice our lives just to save the teacher from suffering. Please help both of you." Xuanhuan also said, "What should I do, to help Master atone for his sins?" They know that there must be a supreme being living in seclusion in this mountain village. Perhaps only that supreme being can free Master. Seeing this, Xuanhuan shook his head and said, "No one can help you with the sins you have committed. However, I can show you to a clear path. If he can make contributions to the common people in the future, it can be regarded as a reduction of his sins." Hearing this, the two of them were very excited. "I beg you, Master," Xuanhuan said. "Come with me." He was going to take Xuanhuan and Xiuqing to the Oath-Keeping Valley. Today's ancestral world is plagued by internal and external troubles. There is a temple to worship the world inside, and there is a sea of grey fog watching eagerly outside. If a disaster occurs, the ancestral world needs a righteous teacher. The power of the Oath Keepers is still too weak. Xiuqing and Xuanhuan both have Qing Chen true inheritance, and their cultivation levels are definitely considered masters in the entire true ancestor realm. Joining the Oath-Keeping Valley will be of great help. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 840. Martial Wilderness World. Zhenqi Pavilion. In the secret room, Yu Linglong was flipping through many files. Yinzun, Paintingzun, Qingzun, Wuzun, Swordzun, Brahmazun, Cheszun, Manzun, Fuzun, Medicinezun. The file in her hand is related to the 10 statues from the former White Mist era. 10 statues. She murmured, flipping through the files, but in her mind, she couldn't help but recall the Nanfan and others she met that day. If I remember correctly, among the group of young people at that time, there were people carrying gukins, drawing boards, monks, and planting grass. Are they somewhat similar to the legendary 10? This thought shocked her. Could it be? No. This is impossible. 10 of them are completely dead. She shook her head, feeling that her idea was too incredible. How can the 10 gods be reborn? If the 10 gods were born, what kind of characters would be behind them? 9 clans and 3 rebellions. The existence of Wu Jianghe's series has never done anything like this. At this moment, the door to the secret room opened, and Han He walked in and reported. Reporting to the pavilion master, the troops of the Wu clan have arrived outside the boundary and have begun to land. Hearing this, Yu Linglong, who was reading the dossier, suddenly changed her expression. "The Wu clan is coming," she murmured. "The Wu family will never give up on the Wuhuang world." Han He said. "The news coming from the true ancestor realm is that the beings in the world's sacrifice temple are about to fulfill the old covenant and perform sacrifices for the whole world. This may be a good thing for the world." However, Yu Linglong shook her head and said, "No. You are wrong. If the ultimates in the temple of sacrifice are really willing to fulfill the old covenant, why do they have to wait until today? In the beginning, the ancestors of the Yang family and Zhang family practiced the method of sacrificing the world, but the temple of sacrificing the world at that time was just a sideshow." Han He's face showed a look of contemplation. "Pavilion master, then, what should we do?" Yu Linglong said without thinking. "Notify Oath-Keeping Valley. The Wu clan is coming fiercely, and there will be a battle with them. Also, take out the quasi-king formation plate, I want to hold it myself." Hearing this, Han He was suddenly shocked. It's okay to inform Oath-Keeping Valley, but the pavilion master actually wants to use the quasi-king formation disc. The quasi-king formation is the strongest foundation of Wuhuang Zhenqi Pavilion, and it is the treasure brought by Yu Linglong from the main pavilion. It can inspire a quasi-king level killing array. Moreover, is the pavilion master going to take action to help the Oath Keepers? He couldn't help but trembled. "Pavilion master, by doing this, we are tantamount to being enemies of the temple of the sacrifice. This time, the Wu clan came under the order of the World Sacrifice Temple, which was completely different from the last time. Ask the world, who dares to violate the temple of sacrifice to the world? Yu Linglong glanced at the file in her hand thoughtfully and said, "Take a gamble. Either fail and die, or succeed, change your destiny against the will of heaven." There was an unchangeable determination in her eyes. Now, the Middle Earth of the martial wasteland. The troops of the Wu tribe are landing continuously, and a large number of spaceships have arrived. Haha, Wu Huangjia is really too weak. On the Spirit King class battleship, Wu Minghuo glanced at the world below, with a hint of disdain in his eyes. Send an order for all forces in the Wuhuang realm to come immediately to pay homage to the dojo that our clan is about to establish. Those who disobey will die. The news spread instantly. The Wuhuang world was shocked. The Wu clan, the immortal ancient clan from the true ancestor realm. I heard that the beings in the temple of sacrifice to the world are about to fulfill the old covenant and practice the law of sacrifice to the world, and only those in the wilderness who have established a dojo will have the opportunity to go on the road together. Perhaps we should go and meet him. Many forces were moved and headed to Middle-earth. In Middle-earth, the Wu clan directly occupied the center of the Wuhuang world, carrying out large-scale construction projects, building Taoist palaces, main halls, etc. Soon, the martial arts dojo began to take shape. Forces from all sides arrived and knelt down outside the martial arts dojo. In the martial arts dojo, there is a huge statue that belongs to Wu Jiandao, the ultimate master of the Wu clan. Greetings to the ancient eternal clan. Greetings to the ancient eternal clan. Everyone bowed down together. Those who worship my clan can be promoted to the clan. From the Wu clan, an 8th level elder appeared and said coldly, "One of our people came here to save the common people and fulfill the Old Testament. Both of them, before, members of our clan came to this world to look for Wu Zunfa and were killed by others. Do you know any clues?" Hearing this, among the many forces that were kneeling and worshipping, some people suddenly spoke. "Senior Chi, there are oath keepers in the dead wasteland. They master the martial master law, and they have also destroyed all the 7th and 6th realm forces in the martial wasteland. Previously, many forces from the 7th realm and 6th realm besieged Dead Man Desolate, and the battle was extremely brutal. Almost all major forces were wiped out. This made other forces in Wuhuang realm stay silent." Hearing this, the 8th-level warrior from the Wu clan immediately turned cold and said, "The dead are deserted, the oath keepers, today, our clan is here to declare that they shall be completely destroyed." A war cry was made. "Conquer the dead man's desolation." Immediately, the Wu clan fleet set off. The distance from the Middle Earth to the north is nothing to the martial race fleet that can traverse the endless universe. Soon, the martial race fleet has arrived at the Dead Man's Wasteland. Now, in the Oath-Keeping Valley. What? The martial clan, the Chaos Spirit King is coming. Wu Zhenhai and others all had solemn expressions on their faces. In the main hall, Yu Linglong and Han He stood calmly. It was they who brought the news. Wu Zhenhai's face was filled with solemnity and he said, "The Chaos Spirit King, an existence of this level can be called the strongest person that can be seen in the world. It seems that this time, the Wu clan is serious about it." Wu Mingshan said, "So what if it's the Chaos Spirit King? We must fight." "Just in time, it's time for our clan to train our troops. With the true self-mirror of martial arts as their foundation, they have confidence." Moreover, the Oath Keepers had obtained resources from the top forces in the martial arts world in the previous wars, and had the radio gymnastics preparation section as their mentality, so they grew very quickly. Today, Wu Zhenhai, Wu Mingshan, and Wu Song have all entered the 6th realm. Even Wu Xiaokan and Xian King II have broken through the 5 aggregates. Who could have imagined that the previous Oath Keepers were just a four-realm force? Rapid growth also requires constant tempering. Report. At this moment, an Oath Keeper from outside hurried over and said, "The dead are out there, and the warships are approaching. High speed." Hearing this, everyone was shocked. "Come so fast?" Han he couldn't help but speak. "The other party is using a starship. The distance from Zhongzhou to the northern border is as simple as taking a step for us." Yu Linglong opened her mouth and said, "Chief Wu, please meet the enemy." Wu Zhenhai also nodded and said, "Meet the enemy." Immediately, all the Oath Keepers set out. Walking out of the Oath-Keeping Valley, the sky was already densely packed with terrifying battleships. The warships are like clouds, and each one exudes a terrifying aura. "Are you the Oath Keepers?" On a battleship, an 8th-level warrior from the Wu clan spoke coldly, condescendingly. "Wuhan Hadeo." "Yes." The 8th-level expert said coldly. "Very good. Hand over the martial master's method and leave your corpses intact." Wu Zhenhai heard this and said coldly, "If you want to fight, then fight." He waved his hand. Next to him, Wu Song suddenly shouted and said, "Disperse in gymnastics formation." Immediately, 3,000 to 4,000 Oath Keepers all dispersed, keeping their distance. "Haha, how dare a group of ants run rampant? All I have to do to kill you is raise your hand." This 8th-level expert raised his hand and lowered it. Boom! In an instant, a powerful source of force formed a huge wave and crashed down. The space trembled, the earth stirred, and the plants and trees were all affected by it. This was a blow from a strong man in the 8th realm, something that had never been seen before in the entire Wuhuang world. The preparatory festival begins. Wu Song shouted angrily and said at the same time, "Xuanhuan, get up." Immediately, 3,000 Oath Keepers started the preparatory section of radio gymnastics with uniform movements. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 2 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 3 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. They shouted loudly, with powerful rhythms, and neat movements, fully feeling the passion and heroism brought by gymnastics. The sound of Xuanhuan resounded throughout the wilderness, harmonizing with the movements of radio gymnastics. In an instant, thousands of miles around the 3,000 Oath Keepers, all the original energy in the world suddenly surged in, and then gathered into a huge human shape in front of the 3,000 Oath Keepers. The human figure was 1,000 meters high and was formed by the billowing source energy. At this moment, the human form formed by the source energy was actually doing radio gymnastics together with the movements of 3,000 people. "Kick your legs, reach out." The giant formed by the original energy blocked the terrifying attack of the 8th realm powerhouse with one palm. Boom! The 8th-level warrior from the Wu clan was even knocked back several steps. What kind of magical power is this? The strong man in the 8th realm suddenly turned pale and his eyes were very frightened. These Oath Keepers are no more than around 4 realms. There are very few people who have broken through the 5 realms. With such a level of existence, as a strong person in the 8th realm, he can easily destroy a large area. There is a chasm between the 4th realm and the 8th realm. No matter how many there are, they cannot pose a threat to the powerful ones in the 8th realm. However, now 3,000 people have actually formed a weird original human form. Can they defeat themselves by performing those weird gymnastics moves? Incredible. Something interesting. In the Wu clan's largest Spirit King battleship, a whisper suddenly sounded. Then, a huge spiritual finger stretched out from the battleship and pointed towards the terrifying original humanoid. Boom! A big explosion occurred in the air, and the original humanoid exploded directly. The person who took action was too strong. The human form of origin Qi, which was able to repel the strong men of the Eighth Realm, could not be blocked by even a finger in front of it. At the same time, the formation of the 3,000 Oath Keepers suddenly became chaotic. Many people coughed up blood. Moreover, the finger from the Spirit King's battleship transformed into a big hand and grabbed at Wu Song, Wu Zhenhai, and others. The expressions of Wu Zhenhai and others changed. At this moment, a formation disk suddenly lit up in the sky. Thousands of formations of light, like a forest of pagodas, blocked the attack. This is Yu Linglong's Quasi-King array. Boom! In an instant, the Quasi-King array cracked, and Yu Linglong's figure fell out of the sky. She staggered and was seriously injured. However, the blow from the Spirit King's battleship was finally blocked. Quasi-King formation plate. Haha, is there anyone in the true ancestor realm who colludes with these ants? A cold voice came from the Spirit King's battleship, saying. Even if the Quasi-King comes, he is nothing more than a pig or a dog in front of me. What does the Quasi-King level array mean? The big hand strikes again, shocking Tianyu. However, at this moment, Wu Xiaoqan soared into the sky, holding the martial arts true self mirror and shining it towards this attack. As soon as the martial arts true self mirror comes out, the endless martial arts rune imprint fills the long sky. Martial arts true self mirror, it seems that the death of my clan members is indeed related to you. A faint voice sounded in the Spirit King's battleship. Immediately, the rainbow light emitted from the true self realm hit the battleship. Boom! Like a huge firework exploding, the battleship was directly destroyed. Wu Xiaoqan was startled for a moment. Did the terrifying existence in the Spirit King's battleship die like this? However, the next moment, his hair stood on end and he turned around suddenly. Only a middle-aged man appeared behind him, looking at him coldly. You! Wu Xiaoqan hurriedly wanted to turn the martial arts true self mirror, but the middle-aged man had already stretched out his hand and pointed out that he wanted to kill Wu Xiaoqan. However, there was light in the martial arts true self mirror, which enveloped Wu Xiaoqan and protected him. However, despite this, Wu Xiaoqan still fell from a high altitude and smashed into the earth. The true self mirror of martial arts actually defends outsiders. In the sky, the Minghuo Spirit King of the martial clan looked at this scene, his eyebrows jumped, and anger flashed. He originally thought that the true self mirror of martial arts was just taken away. Now it seems that the martial arts true self mirror actually recognizes its owner. This is very scary. It should be noted that the martial arts true self mirror is a real artifact. Holding it in the palm of an ordinary person's hand, it can kill enemies across levels. Moreover, once the martial arts true self mirror is activated and the weapon spirit wakes up, a strong person who is not weaker than the opening level will appear. Even the Spirit King can't stop him. Kill you, and let me see who can be recognized as the master in the true self realm. The Minghuo Spirit King struck directly with thunder. He could see that although Wu Xiaoqan could control the true self realm of martial arts, it seemed difficult to activate the weapon spirit. After all, the weapon spirit itself is equivalent to a strong person in the realm of opening the door. It sleeps in the dark and will not wake up unless it encounters a huge stimulus. As long as the weapon spirit doesn't wake up, he can still easily kill Wu Xiaoqan. Xiaoqan, Wu Zhenhai and others all rushed forward. But, how could they block a Spirit King level attack? However, at this moment, the sound of harp and harp suddenly sounded. Invisible sound waves traveled through the sky and struck at the Minghuo Spirit King. Minghuo Spirit King's expression changed drastically, and he turned around quickly to resist the terrifying sound wave. Boom! The terrifying source of power exploded, and the Minghuo Spirit King retreated thousands of feet, with two terrifying blood marks appearing in front of him. Everyone in the audience was shocked. The Minghuo Spirit King is ridiculously strong and can be called the strongest person the world has ever seen. Now, he was actually repelled and injured. Incredible. There are actually two spiritual kings in this martial wilderness realm. Minghuo Spirit King's expression was filled with solemnity. Hearing this, everyone in the Wu clan was even more surprised. What, there is a Spirit King in the Wuhuang world? How can such a series exist in such a wild land? They talked a lot. While everyone was watching, they saw a man coming with his hands behind his back. Beside him were two women. The two women, one holding the harp and the other playing the harp, were both dressed in mourning clothes. The terrifying sound waves just now were emitted from the two women's harps. They are actually two spiritual kings. However, at this moment, Minghuo Spirit King did not look at her two people at all. Instead, stare at Long Zixuan. It's like seeing a ghost. Wuzun. He was shocked. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 841. A man and two women suddenly appeared, causing everyone in the place to fall into silence. There are actually two spirit kings in the Wuhuang realm, which is absolutely shocking. However, at this moment, Minghuo Lingwang ignored Qiuqing and Suihen, and instead looked at Long Zixuan in great horror. He is the spiritual king of the martial clan, so he has naturally seen the portrait of the martial lord from the previous Beiwu era. He even saw it from a distance on the day Wuzun was born. The young man in front of me, and Wuzun. Exactly the same. Even that kind of calm demeanor, that kind of calmness that is fearless. Wuzun is reincarnated? He stared at Long Zixuan and said. Who are you? Long Zixuan looked at Minghuo Spirit King, smiled calmly, and said. I am who you think I am. Upon hearing this, Minghuo Spirit King immediately shouted. Impossible. Martial Lord has died, his corpse fills the abyss, and there is no trace of him in the world. You are so brave, you dare to assume the appearance of a martial lord, do you want to die? He didn't believe it. Wuzun, the most powerful person in the pre-White Mist era, was known as the world-honored one, and was considered invincible. In the post-White Mist era, he even defeated the beings in the sacrifice temple with one move. How could such a character be reborn? It's absolutely impossible. Everyone knows that he is dead and his bones are filled in the abyss of the sky. However, at this moment, the martial arts mirror next to Wu Xiaoqan suddenly flew up on its own and arrived in front of Long Zixuan, saluting excitedly and respectfully. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked and horrified. What's going on, martial arts true self, you actually saluted this young man? Impossible. Even if the ultimate one comes, it is impossible to make such a divine weapon so respectful. Everyone found it incredible. And below, Yu Linglong's beautiful eyes shrank even more. She looked at Long Zixuan in disbelief. Sky. Did you guess wrong at first? Back then, when Wu Fengwan and others from the Wu clan came to attack the Wuhuang realm, they came holding the martial arts true self mirror. As a result, the martial arts true self mirror changed owners. At that time, she, Jin Qishan and others from Zhenqi Pavilion all thought that Wu Jianghe, one of the three villains of the 9 tribes, had taken action. But now it seems. It has nothing to do with Wu Jianghe. But, this young man who calls himself a fisherman in a mountain village? At this moment, her mind was spinning. It should be noted that the martial arts true self mirror was left behind by the martial lord of the pre-White Mist era. In this world, the only person in the martial arts true self realm who can be so respectful, perhaps, the only one is Wuzun himself. She gasped. Is my previous guess correct? Wuzun is really reborn. No, it's not just Wuzun. She thought of Nanfeng carrying the Guqin, Zi Ling carrying the drawing board, the monk who used salvation as his mantra every day. 10 respects for students. At this moment, she felt as if she had come into contact with some eternal secret. And at this moment, Long Xuan glanced at the martial arts mirror indifferently and said, "If you want to sleep, just sleep well and don't have to come out." He has already seen everything about the path of martial arts. Therefore, it can be seen that the weapon spirit of this martial arts true self mirror seems to be at a critical stage, and it is about to evolve to the top level. Hearing this, the true self nodded immediately, then fell back to Wu Xiaoqin's side, lying still. Asleep. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. You can actually command the martial arts true self mirror. Is he really the reincarnation of Martial Lord? No. If he is Martial Lord, who is going to fill Tianyuan? Oh my god, if Wu Zheng lives another life, is this going to shock the world? Everyone was very frightened. At this moment, almost everyone had a consensus. This young man. Most likely, it is Wu Zun himself. Minghuo Spirit King was even more trembling in his heart. As a generation of spiritual kings, looking at Long Xuan, he was actually a little scared. 10 statues are dead. You are an evil spirit. He roared, and then suddenly erupted with overwhelming power. Every inch of his skin was evolving with strange source of power. His whole body was flawless, tearing apart the space, surpassing all speeds, and trying to kill Long Xuan. He was afraid that no matter whether he was really a living being of the 10 lords or anyone related to the 10 lords, he could never live in this world. That would cause earth-shaking changes. Therefore, it must be killed. He shattered the surrounding space, and the endless martial arts brand condensed into a terrifying fist wave, cutting off vegetation and cracking the earth for hundreds of miles around. However, Long Xuan just put his hands behind his hands, looked at him indifferently, then raised his hands and pointed a few times casually. Suddenly, the two people Qiuqing and Xuanhuan behind him started playing music again. The sound of the harp is like a sword, and the sound of the harp is like a sword. The sword transformed and instantly cut into the ocean of martial arts. Silently, he arrived as promised, and in an instant, standing in the ocean of martial arts, the Minghuo Spirit King, known as the King of Martial Arts, let out a miserable cry. His hands were cut off directly by the sound of the piano and the piano. His terrifying ocean of martial arts and the giant fist of martial arts runes that dominated the world did not block the sound of the piano and the piano at all. No. You saw through my flaw. He looked at Long Xuan in horror. He understood that Long Xuan understood his martial arts shortcomings with just one glance, and could kill him with just a finger. Hearing this, Long Xuan just said lightly, "In your martial arts, you only see flaws but not the truth, why do you need to see through it?" Hearing this, the Minghuo Spirit King was frightened and angry. Even if you are the reincarnation of Wu Zun, you will still die in this life. He worked hard to burn the source of the grey mist and get close to Long Xuan at all costs. However, Long Xuan still stood where he was, just pointing out a few directions casually. The sound of the piano and the sound of the piano, like an invisible blade, penetrated the ocean of martial arts and cut into the body of the Minghuo Spirit King. At this moment, Minghuo Lingwang felt as if he was being thrown away. Every time he took a step closer to Long Xuan, parts of his body would be chopped off. Grey blood filled the long sky, which was very horrific. "I'll fight you!" Wu Minghuo shouted, using all his strength. He rushed one step in front of Long Xuan. It was at this moment that his body suddenly fell into pieces. His knees were cut off, and he knelt in front of Long Xuan. In his eyes, grey blood flowed. He was almost dead. However, at this moment, he suddenly took out a jade talisman and crushed it. The reincarnation of Wu Zun. He is sending a message to the true ancestor realm. Before he died, he wanted to send back the news of Wu Zun's reincarnation. However, as soon as he finished saying the word reincarnation, he fell with a thud. Total death. The whole place fell silent. Everyone in the Wu clan was dumbfounded and looked at the scene with fear. The Spirit King is dead. The reincarnation of Wuzun, he is Wuzun. No. Hurry, run away. For a time, countless warships of the Wu clan fled in a hurry. Like a bereaved dog. Kill all the treacherous people. Long Xuanhuan spoke calmly. Suddenly, the sounds of harps and zithers intertwined and swept across thousands of miles. No matter how fast the Wu clan's warship is, how can it be faster than the sound of two Spirit King level warriors at this moment? The blood of the Wu clan splashed into the sky, and countless battleships exploded and turned into nothingness. The Wu clan was completely wiped out.